Well, here we go again. Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. And welcome back, my friends, to Secret Origins Month. It's time yet again for Secret Origins Month, where we look at the first appearances of beloved characters. And yeah, while we're now technically past the 10th anniversary episode, screw it. Let's keep doing some more follow-ups for the rest of the year. In this case, we're going to do a double hitter here. Follow up our look at the Fantastic Four's origin in 2011, while also looking at the origin of a character whose solo movie kicked so much friggin' ass at the box office that the other Avengers movies were going, I don't feel so good. But we're here to talk about comics, so let's start with the character's origins. Unfortunately, why he was created is a little uncertain from my research. Apparently, according to Stan Lee, it was simply a matter of, I noticed there weren't a lot of black superheroes, so hey, let's make some. It's frankly a reasoning I can get behind, since representation is important. It's just when it comes to Stan Lee, it's hard to tell if that's really the reason, or if that's what he's convinced himself over the years. Black Panther has been reasonably popular enough over the years, but it's really only thanks to the Marvel Cinematic Universe that he's become a mainstream name. Although admittedly there was a very brief time where he went by the name Black Leopard. See, T'Challa debuted in comics 3 months before the official founding of the Black Panther Party, wanting to distance themselves from anything political, a strange position to take considering the friggin' X-Men are a team all about the disenfranchised and their rights, which is, you know, political. They decided to rename him while making it clear they made no actual stance regarding the party. They just didn't want potential controversy to affect the bottom line. And then they realized how stupid that was and changed it back. So where did the name originally come from? Well, apparently in Jack Kirby's concept art of the character, the working name was Coal Tiger, which... okay, but tigers are native to Asia and not Africa. But as for the name they did go with, Stan Lee has said that he was inspired by a pulp adventure hero who had a Black Panther as a helper. The character was not the first black superhero, but he was the first in mainstream comics. So let's dig into Fantastic Four number 52 and see how the Black Panther got his start.
Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a pretty hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
The cover's pretty good, though unremarkable. The Fantastic Four just kind of standing around what looks like a junkyard of random bits of technology, and the Black Panther is leaping, falling, doing yoga stretches in the air. We'll call it that. Also, either Mr. Fantastic is inflating his torso for some reason, or Reed Richards has been hitting the gym lately. Do you even stretch, bro? We begin with a splash page highlighting a sequence in the book, which is apparently the Fantastic Four versus the amazing colossal Wakandan, because the Black Panther is friggin' huge! Man, why was Ant-Man growing giant in Civil War such a big deal when Black Panther can apparently do that this whole time? The fabulous FF are trapped in the incredible realm of the Black Panther. The Black Panther is 20 feet tall and will devour us all! Also featuring The Way Out and wonderful Wyatt Wingfoot. Narration written by Elmer Fudd. We open with Reed, Sue, and Ben flying around in a floating car.
But where are the flying cars? I was promised flying cars.
When you or I go for a spin, pussycat, we hop into the old hot rod and take off.
Howdy do, fellow kids.
But you wouldn't expect the FF to be as conventional as that now, would you? They prefer to flaunt the superior technology whenever possible and laugh at the poor people below who will never know the joys of flying cars. However, according to Reed, he didn't build the flying car. It was an unexpected gift sent to me by an African chieftain called the Black Panther. Never heard of him, but how does some refugee from a Tarzan movie lay his hands on this kind of gizmo? 1960s casual racism. After playing with the controls, and noting that it seems to be powered by magnetic waves, Ben gets quite a bit airsick. They head back to the Baxter building, where the Black Panther's emissary is waiting for them. Frankly, I'm just wondering why the hell Ben Grimm is asking about this stuff now when they're already in the air, and not when he first saw the thing and stepped into it. Or was this a B.A. Baracus situation, and they drugged him before putting him in the thing?
We're in a plane!
Don't panic.
A plane!
Take it easy.
No
Relax,
plane!
relax,
A plane!
relax.
They land and speak with the representative, who says the flying car is a gift for Reed to keep if they accept the Black Panther's invitation to go to Wakanda. So it's not a gift, it's a bribe. He says that in their honor, they'll arrange a great hunt, and Reed accepts, wanting a vacation for the team. I shall communicate these glad tidings to the Black Panther at once. He took a metal device from inside his toga, but it's so small. Can he actually transmit a message halfway around the globe? With that? Totally unrealistic. Hang on, I'm gonna tweet about this. Oh, but indeed, it is capable of doing this. The device is so advanced, it even includes this weird face mask thing integral to communications. You seem surprised, sir. Actually, this apparatus operates by CCW, cosmic channel waves, which can blanket all of Earth. And yet I still only get one bar out here. And now, by your leave, at the mere press of a button, I shall contact my chieftain. In Wakanda! Oh, wait a second. Need to update the apps on this thing first. Instantaneously, a powerful sound beam reaches a pre-designated area deep in the heart of equatorial Africa. An area wherein lies buried a mystery known only to those who know of the Wakandas, and who speak the name of the Black Panther in hushed, fearful whispers. Well, I'd be afraid to speak loudly and attract his attention. After all, he's a giant! In Wakanda, we see that T'Challa is having his usual day, not in a palace or a government building, but just kind of sitting around in an open area surrounded by warriors and a collection of vases of various colors and shapes. You know, king stuff. He's informed of the acceptance of the invitation. Raise the totem. Let the ritual begin. Ready the Wicker Man! A giant statue is raised from the ground. Oh, your brother greets you this day. The hunt is about to begin. Now, you're a statue, so you're not the best hunter we've got, but I think that enthusiasm will make up for inexperience. Hidden within the statue are various bits of computer equipment, as well as the Black Panther outfit, referred to as his stalking costume. Yeah, few people want to talk about the numerous restraining orders against T'Challa. Now let the Fantastic Four come. The Black Panther shall greet them, as they have never been greeted before, with interpretive dance. We cut over to Metro College, where Johnny Storm is attending school. He's in his room, wondering about if he passed his latest exam, and his roommate, the aforementioned Wyatt Wingfoot, is asleep in bed. He's also worried about Crystal, a member of the Inhumans who, along with the rest of them, were sealed behind some kind of barrier. But enough about that. Time for Ben Grimm and the other members of the Fantastic Four to show up and invite him along on the trip to Wakanda. How'd you all get here so fast? It was a breeze, Johnny. We flew in by lightning-fast magnetic waves. I love how the attitude of this comic is, friggin' magnets, how do they work? Johnny asks if Wyatt can come along, apparently forgetting that they should be asking if he wants to come along, and suddenly I feel like this is going to turn into a slapstick comedy about a frat boy ruining a diplomatic dinner. Then again, despite all the noise the four are making in Johnny's room, Wyatt has been fast asleep in bed this entire time, so maybe he'll just pass out during the dessert course. We cut over to a dome and some mountains. And now, lest you think we've forgotten about them, let us briefly turn our attention to a remote mountain fastness at the other side of the world, where a group of strange Inhumans are imprisoned behind an unbreakable barrier. Let it never be said that anyone would ever want to forget about the Inhumans. Apparently the dome is a part of the negative zone, and they're trapped in there from earlier events. This really has nothing to do with why we're here, so we'll skip it. Although the only thing I'll point out is that apparently in the 60s, Black Bolt needed to have the fanciest headdress of all.
There. Sure glad I don't look stupid in this.
Over to Wakanda, scouts for the nation have spotted the Fantastic Four approaching. The jungle looks so primitive, so undeveloped. Lazy trees, start a technology firm already! It's so hard to believe that a ship such as this one could have come from a land with no sign of technology, of industrial development. Where's the land scarring? Where's the pollution-belching factories? How's anyone supposed to develop advanced technology until they've done all the deforestation? The emissary just says there's more than meets the eye here, though Reed is starting to get a bit worried. Also, Wyatt Wingfoot is just lying in the back seat sleeping through all this. The unsung fifth member of the team, Narcoleptic Man. Once they reach a clearing in the trees, they arrive in Wakanda. Instead of the Afrofuturism used in the movie and later comics, it's basically Jack Kirby being Jack Kirby. Massive detailed technological spires and machines chaotically arranged everywhere in a dazzling spectacle of color and lines. It's truly a jungle, but like nothing ever spawned by nature. It's a man-made jungle. A mangle, if you will. Indeed, you are correct. The entire topography and flora are electronically controlled mechanical apparatus. The very branches about us are composed of delicately constructed wires. Well, okay, mostly old USB cables, but it looks cool. While the flowers which abound here are highly complex buttons and dials. That lily over there is a light switch. Even the boulders can be heard to hum with the steady pulse of computer dynamos. Can you play Red Dead Redemption 2 on your rock? I think not. After the ship lands, the emissary vanishes off-panel and Reed realizes something's wrong. Stay together, all of you. Whoever created this electronic nightmare has kept it a secret for some deadly reason. Timeshare presentation, I'm guessing. Spotting the emissary escaping in an elevator, Ben Grimm tries to pursue, but is stopped by some kind of electric shock trap. The Black Panther reveals himself. Those electric volts have caused a chain reaction in his blood cells, which will weaken him for 5 minutes. Also, he's now going to be anemic for the rest of his life. I guess I wasn't wrong about the Panther using this as an opportunity to do his stretches. Check out the splits he can do. Mr. Fantastic tries to punch him, but he's able to dodge. He ducked under my blow with the ease of the beast for which he's named. Panthers, well known for evading punches. Wyatt Wingfoot, awakening from his coma, tries to go and attack the Panther, but Reed Richards tells him to back off since this isn't his fight. And I guess he complies since suddenly it's the Human Torch chasing after him. The Panther manages to lure the Torch into an asbestos-lined box and put out his flames, lowering the prepared cage into the ground. The rest of the group regroups, deciding to formulate a plan before trying to chase after the Panther. Ben Grimm has recovered his strength and decides to test it by pulling out some equipment, to the objection of Wyatt Wingfoot. The only guy who gives me orders is a guy who can lick me. Bisexual Ben Grimm confirmed. Wyatt points out that with the kind of intelligence that built this place, anything around them could be booby-trapped, so they have to be careful. As such, he decides to head out on his own to learn more, using his inbuilt tracking skills as a Native American, seriously, to find more info. The blood of my ancestors, the greatest scouts of all time, flows strong in my veins. I already did the casual racism jingle, but truth is, this kind of crap is still around in modern times when it comes to Native American characters, so there you go. Wakandan troops come in and shoot at them with polarity guns. Do they expect to polish us off by shooting flashlight beams at us? They're not light beams, Ben. Feel that vibration? We've been hit by magnetic anti-polarity beams. They make objects repel each other. We can't stay together till they wear off.
And if your hands were metal, that would mean something.
Also, gotta love how this great hunt required the army to come in to force them not to work together. Anyway, Sue turns invisible as the Black Panther begins chasing her. She manages to elude him a bit, since he can hear her footsteps and breathing, but eventually catches her by scent, knocking her out with gas before she can form a force field to protect herself. Next up is Ben, who stupidly drinks from a random fountain in the room. The water actually contains a devitalizing fluid, or as most people call it, alcohol. That'll sap his strength and allow him to actually fight the thing on even footing. Ben manages to start recovering his strength quickly, but he collides into a high-voltage refrigeration unit, which freezes him over temporarily. Thus you will survive the deep freeze, though it will take you a while to thaw out.
Cool party.
Wyatt manages to get away from the technological forest and into the real one, where a hidden observation post run by the Wakandans is monitoring the group. He knocks out the guards and smashes up the equipment so they can't be spied on anymore. I've got to find them again and lead them out of this artificial jungle into the real one. So long as they're surrounded by all of the Black Panther's elaborate traps, the odds must be against them. The Wakanda Hunger Games are weird. Sneaking back in, Wyatt soon discovers where the Human Torch is being kept, while Mr. Fantastic faces off against the Black Panther. Eventually, the Panther manages to lock his wrists in titanium cuffs to prevent him from stretching anymore, but then the rest of the Fantastic Four arrive, freed by Wyatt. With the four of them together again, they're able to incapacitate the Black Panther, who is of course stunned that they're all out. You took every precaution against the greatest superpowered team in the world, but you overlooked one factor. Sometimes a man with no superpowers can tip the scales for or against you. Your knockout darts had no effect on a man who sleeps 20 hours a day. And so our comic ends with the Panther surrendering, and he finally agrees to explain what all this is about. But that's for the next issue. Before we get into that explanation, let me remind you that Secret Origins Month is not about the actual origin story for a character, but their first appearance, which doesn't always offer an origin story. And as a first story, this comic is pretty dang good. While we don't learn about Wakanda or the Panther himself in this issue, it does show how incredibly talented and cunning he is. If not for Wyatt's presence, he would have successfully defeated the entire Fantastic Four. While I'm a little upset that he had to resort to using his troops to keep the remaining members separated, he did still have methods of defeating the team that made sense and didn't make the characters seem like pushovers. Indeed, he admits that if he hadn't resorted to dirty tricks like weakening Ben Grimm twice, his skills would be no match for someone that strong. But at the same time, we see him as a man of honor in his combat, not going for lethal measures, and once he's defeated, he holds to his word. The action is very enjoyable, and Jack Kirby's artwork is always a delight. It's a cliche in superhero fiction for two heroes who first encounter each other to get into a fight, and this follows in that line, but it's interesting that the story frames him as the villain since he's fighting the heroes, but it's not like he's cackling like a mad scientist like so many other villains would be, foreshadowing that this is not just some supervillain they're facing. Fantastic Four number 53 is the more expository explanation of Wakanda and the Black Panther, including the mixture of African symbology and artwork alongside modern technology. It of course explains how Wakanda is rich in vibranium, which naturally Reed Richards sees as a metal that'd be incredibly useful for friggin' missiles! America! Hey, here's an indestructible metal that can absorb vibration! Cool! How can we blow stuff up with it? Wakanda was attacked by Claw, whom of course you should be familiar with in the movie, as well as in Age of Ultron. But in the comics we saw him in Secret Wars, where he had gone insane and at one point was sliced up by Dr. Doom because he was living sound. Here, Wakanda didn't already have the massive technological prowess, but they managed to fight off Claw and his forces thanks to a young T'Challa stealing Claw's weapon. A sound blaster. My God! If he could do that with a sound blaster, just imagine what he can do with a video card! Over 10 years, T'Challa sold small amounts of vibranium to scientific institutions so he could get the incredible funding he needed to modernize Wakanda's technology. After performing rituals and eating certain herbs, he gained the power of the Black Panther. The trap for the Fantastic Four was a test of his own abilities, needing to know if he was ready to take on Claw, who, by sheer coincidence, returns to Wakanda in that same issue. The Black Panther defeats him again, and the Fantastic Four encourage T'Challa to still fight evil and help serve mankind as the Black Panther. It's a good origin for him, and some of this would get retconned later, like how long they've been technologically powerful. There'd also be a story where Captain America encountered T'Challa's father, also the Black Panther, but that's for another day. In the end, both issues are good and classic stuff. Next time, we have more Marvel Comics by returning to Marvel Comics. That doesn't make sense. Next week, we'll talk about the Human Torch. Not the one from the Fantastic Four. We already saw his origin story, and just come back next week.
That comic books
So, why was he wearing the polka dot headband underneath the mask?